You know, when you think about some of the most ambitious things that people have ever accomplished, it's almost always like a team effort, right?
Yeah.
It's not just one person sort of like going it alone.
Right.
And that's kind of the lens that we're using for today's deep dive as we look at what I would consider to be a pretty monumental goal,
Yeah.
which is establishing a gospel-centered church in literally every single barangay across the entire Philippines.
Wow. When you really let that sink in, that's staggering.
Yeah.
I mean, over 42,000 barangays
Incredible.
spread across over 7,000 islands.
That's a lot of islands.
You immediately see that any attempt to tackle this solo by like a single organization would be not just incredibly difficult, but practically impossible.
Yeah.
It demands a different approach.
It really does, and that's what's so interesting about the source material that you sent over, is that it really hammers home that partnership isn't just like a helpful strategy here.
Right.
It's like the foundational necessity.
Right.
So our mission in this deep dive is to really understand why that is.
Yeah.
So we're going to unpack some of the historical roots and the really practical reasons that make collaboration pretty much the only viable way forward.
I like it.
Now, our listener, brought this topic to us.
Okay.
So you're probably wrestling with some of these same questions around large-scale projects, the power of working together, or maybe how to build really strong communities.
Yeah, that's good.
But what I think is so compelling about this source is this core vision that it lays out, which is this idea of a kingdom ecosystem.
Right.
And I love that phrasing because it's not just like we've got all these isolated entities kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
It's this vibrant network of interconnected partners, all operating under what the source calls this covenant of commitment.
Yeah, that's a really
powerful image.
It's a powerful image.
Okay, well, let's jump right in.
Okay.
Let's talk about this idea of why going it alone is a flawed strategy. Okay. And the source doesn't really mince words here. It just says flat out, no great mission in history has ever been accomplished by a single individual or organization. Lone efforts might spark something, but it's the partnerships that kind of fuel those things for the long term. It's almost like a universal law of big achievements, wouldn't you say?
It is. I think we tend to celebrate the individual achievements, but if you look closely behind any significant movement, you will invariably find a web of collaboration and support.
It's always there.
It's always there. And what's so fascinating is how the source connects this to the fundamental nature of the church itself.
Okay.
Drawing on the imagery of the body in 1 Corinthians 12.
Ah, yes. Many members, one body.
That's right.
It really hits home that trying to do something this vast in isolation is just, it's almost antithetical to the Christian community.
Yeah, it's like trying to see with only one eye or lift something heavy with only one hand.
Right.
You're inherently limited.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. And when you factor in the sheer magnitude of this mission, which the source emphasizes, the inefficiency of just doing things on your own becomes really stark.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine you've got all these independent groups all trying to figure out logistics and navigate cultural nuances and build relationships in the same areas, completely unaware of one another.
Oh, yeah.
It's a recipe for just
duplication of effort to wasted resource.
Full waste.
Yeah.
So the lone wolf approach is off the table.
Right.
So what does the source offer as an alternative? Well, it delves into some really, I think, compelling biblical models for partnership, starting way back with the apostles.
Yeah.
What stands out to you about that?
Well, what's so insightful is seeing how deeply ingrained collaboration was right from the start.
Right.
And Paul, who we often think of as this tireless individual missionary, consistently worked alongside a team.
Yeah.
I mean, Barnabas, Silas, Timothy, Luke, and that dynamic duo, Priscilla and Aquila, are all explicitly mentioned.
Yeah.
And his letters are full of acknowledgments of their crucial roles.
Yeah.
It challenges that image of the solitary hero, doesn't it?
It really does. It's so easy to picture these figures as operating independently.
Yeah.
But the reality is that it was very much a coordinated effort. And it wasn't just Paul, was it?
No, it wasn't.
The source also highlights Jesus's own method when he sent out the 72 disciples.
Right.
Which I think is a really interesting strategic choice.
Absolutely. I mean, he sent them out 2 by 2.
2 by 2.
And this wasn't just about doubling their reach.
Right.
It was a deliberate model emphasizing shared mission and mutual support.
Yeah.
They could encourage each other in the face of challenges.
Yeah.
Offer practical help.
Right.
Provide accountability.
Yeah.
It was a partnership baked right into the mission strategy from the beginning.
So even Jesus himself saw partnership as a key multiplier for impact.
Right.
And this wasn't just a one-off thing, right?
No, it wasn't.
The early church continued this collaborative spirit.
Yes.
And the source gives some really concrete examples that I think really illustrate this.
Yeah, these examples are so powerful because they show this principle in action.
Okay.
The believers in Antioch sending aid to Jerusalem when they faced famine.
Right.
That's a clear demonstration of different communities looking out for each other.
Yeah.
And then Paul's organized collection of financial support from various churches to help struggling Christian communities elsewhere highlights this interconnectedness.
Yeah.
The early church wasn't just a collection of isolated congregations.
Right.
It was a genuine interconnected body operating in unity and mutual support.
It's a beautiful image of the body working the way it should.
It is.
Now, if we fast forward to today and the challenge of planting churches across the vast and diverse landscape of the Philippines, the source argues that partnership is even more critical now.
Okay.
Why is that?
Well, the source makes this crucial point that the complexities of the modern world amplify the need for collaboration.
Okay.
So think about it.
Yeah.
The rapid changes in society, the constant flow of information, yet also the increasing fragmentation that we see.
Right.
And then you layer on top of that the specific challenges of the Philippines.
Yes.
The sheer geographical spread across thousands of islands, just getting to some of these places, is a monumental task.
That's a lot of travel.
The incredible cultural diversity, significant economic disparity, and of course the ever-present spiritual opposition. No single entity has the resources or the reach to effectively address all of that alone.
It would be impossible. So it's clear why a unified front would be so much more effective.
Right.
Let's dig into some of the specific reasons that the source gives for why partnership is so essential in the Philippine context.
Okay.
Starting with expanding reach. Which makes total sense given all those islands.
What's really fascinating here is the sheer logistical puzzle. I mean, how can any single organization realistically hope to establish a meaningful presence in over 42,000 barangays scattered across so many islands? The source rightly points out that different groups often have different areas of focus, different networks, different strengths. Partnership acts as that crucial bridge, connecting these diverse capabilities and ensuring that no community is overlooked simply due to logistical limitations or a lack of local connections.
So it's about kind of filling in the map together.
Exactly.
Ensuring that no corner is left untouched.
That's right.
The next point is about maximizing resources.
Okay.
And it seems obvious, but it's so important to avoid duplication.
Absolutely. The source highlights the inherent inefficiency of independent efforts. You could have multiple groups independently developing similar materials, conducting similar research, or even trying to reach the same communities while other areas remain unserved. The concept of a coordinated strategy, facilitated by a shared church planting database, which the source specifically mentions, is key.
I love that.
It's about creating a central nervous system for the movement.
I love it.
Ensuring that financial, human, and material resources are deployed strategically and where they're most needed.
That's so smart.
Eliminating wasteful overlap.
Almost like mission control for church planting.
Yes, exactly.
That shared database idea is really cool. The third reason that the source gives centers on strengthening the church planters themselves. And this is something that you might not immediately think of as a benefit of partnership.
It's a vital but often overlooked aspect. Church planting is incredibly demanding. Taking a significant emotional, physical, and spiritual toll. Planters often face isolation, discouragement, burnout, and even persecution.
Wow.
A strong partnership network acts as a vital lifeline, providing essential encouragement, mentorship, practical assistance, and a sense of belonging. It ensures that these frontline workers don't feel alone or abandoned in the field, which can be a real danger when operating independently.
That makes a lot of sense. You know, just knowing that you have people in your corner must be a huge encouragement when things get tough.
Absolutely.
Finally, the source touches on enhancing credibility through unity. And it links this to Jesus's prayer in John 17.
This is where the impact extends beyond just practicalities. Jesus prayed for unity among his followers so that the world may believe. And when churches and organizations genuinely collaborate, putting aside their own agendas for the greater good, It sends a powerful message of authenticity.
Yeah.
In a world often fractured by tribalism, denominationalism, and individualism,
Right.
a unified church planting movement becomes a living demonstration of the gospel's power to unite,
Yes.
enhancing its credibility and impact.
So it's almost like the message is reinforced
Yes.
by the messengers themselves being unified.
So
a partnership is this foundational. Okay.
What does it actually look like on the ground?
Yeah.
The source talks about a covenant of partnership.
Yeah.
And it lays out some pretty crucial elements.
Yeah. What's important to grasp is that this isn't just a casual agreement to cooperate.
Right.
A true partnership, as the source describes it, requires a deep level of commitment, a strong foundation of mutual trust,
Right.
and a clear understanding of shared responsibility.
Got it.
The source breaks down 5 key elements that are essential for successful collaboration.
Okay, let's walk through those.
All right.
The first is shared vision, a unified mission.
Yeah.
That sounds like the absolute starting point.
It is. The source emphasizes that if the partner organizations aren't fundamentally aligned on their core objective, the partnership is likely to falter.
Yeah.
The most effective collaborations are anchored in a clear, unified vision.
Right.
In this case, the overarching goal of establishing thriving, gospel-centered churches in every barangay.
Right.
This shared purpose becomes the central driving force.
Ensuring everyone is working towards the same end.
It's like everyone agreeing on the destination before they even start the journey.
Exactly.
Makes total sense because if everyone's got a different destination in mind,
Right.
you're going to have a very chaotic journey.
Absolutely.
The second element is mutual trust, commitment over competition.
Yeah.
And that really speaks to kind of overcoming potential barriers.
Absolutely. The source identifies the spirit of competition.
Right.
That tendency to focus on individual success or organizational recognition as a significant threat to effective partnership.
Oh, interesting.
It stresses the need for a genuine kingdom-minded cooperation.
Yeah.
Where the ultimate focus is on Christ being glorified,
Yeah.
not on who gets the credit.
Yeah.
And this requires a high degree of transparency in communication, openness in sharing resources,
Yeah.
and a willingness to serve one another selflessly.
Yeah.
It's about prioritizing the mission above individual egos or institutional agendas.
So it's like moving from that us versus them mentality to we're all in this together.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
The third element is clear roles and responsibilities, playing to strengths.
Okay.
And this sounds like it's all about practical execution.
Precisely. Different partners bring different strengths, different expertise, and different resources to the table.
Right.
Some might excel in evangelistic outreach, others in training new leaders,
Right.
while still others might have strong logistical capabilities or financial backing.
Okay.
Clearly defining who does what
Yeah.
leverages these unique strengths,
Right.
maximizes efficiency, minimizes confusion,
Yeah.
and reduces the potential for conflict arising from overlapping responsibilities or unmet expectations.
Right. So it's like everyone's in the orchestra and they know their part
Exactly.
and they can play it well.
Yeah,
So strategic alignment of skills and resources.
I like it.
The fourth key element is sustainable support, long-term commitment.
Okay.
And this really underscores that this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon.
Exactly. Planting a new church is just the initial step.
Right.
The source emphasizes that without ongoing discipleship, leadership development, and community engagement,
Yeah.
these new congregations can struggle to thrive
Right.
and even risk dissolving.
Yeah.
True partnerships require a long-term perspective with commitments to follow-up leadership training
Right.
and continuous support to ensure the long-term health growth and impact of the planted churches.
So it's not just about planting the seed, it's about cultivating and watering it
That's right.
so it can flourish.
Exactly.
And then finally, the fifth element is prayerful dependence, seeking God's guidance together.
Yeah.
And this brings in a crucial dimension that goes beyond strategy and logistics.
The source rightly reminds us that ultimately this is God's work.
Yeah.
And even the most well-designed strategies will fall short without his blessing and guidance.
It's so true.
Strong partnerships are rooted in prayer, with partners regularly seeking God's will, together interceding for the mission.
Right.
And relying on his wisdom to navigate the inevitable challenges that will arise in such a significant undertaking. It's a recognition that our efforts must be underpinned by spiritual dependence.
It's a powerful reminder that we can't do this in our own strength.
Yeah.
So the source wraps up with a call to action.
Okay.
What is the core message here for someone listening?
The overarching message is a clear and compelling one.
Okay.
The era of isolated efforts needs to end.
Right.
The source urgently calls for a united movement.
Yeah.
A powerful covenant that encompasses churches, denominations, mission organizations, and individual believers.
Wow.
All willing to stand together, serve together.
Yeah.
And make sacrifices together for the advancement of God's kingdom throughout the Philippines.
It's huge.
It's a call for collective action on an unprecedented scale.
And it extends very specific invitations to different parts of the Christian community, right?
Yes, it challenges churches to look beyond their immediate local concerns and embrace a broader vision of national and global mission. It urges mission organizations to prioritize collaboration and synergy over competition and independent ventures.
Yeah.
It encourages church planters to actively seek out the support, accountability, and encouragement that a partnership network can provide.
It's so important.
It is.
And it invites every individual believer to participate actively through their prayers, financial contributions, their time, their unique talents, and their material resources.
That's right.
It truly is a comprehensive call for everyone to play their vital role.
It is. It's a call for everyone to get off the sidelines and into the game, working together.
I love it. And the source leaves us with this incredibly resonant statement.
Okay.
It says, "When we replaces me, the impossible becomes possible."
That's good.
That really sticks with you.
It does. It perfectly captures the transformative potential of unity and shared purpose in tackling a mission of this magnitude.
Right.
It's a powerful reminder of what can be achieved when the focus shifts from individual gain to collective impact.
So well said. So as we conclude this deep dive
into this really insightful source material, the central takeaway, I think, is crystal clear.
Okay.
Achieving this ambitious vision of a gospel-centered church in every single barangay in the Philippines is inextricably linked to the power of partnership.
Yes.
It's not just a better way.
Right.
It is the essential way forward.
It is.
And as we've explored, building these effective partnerships isn't just about good intentions.
Right.
It requires a really solid foundation.
Yes.
Built on shared vision, unwavering mutual trust, clearly defined roles, a sustained commitment to long-term support, and fundamentally a deep and abiding prayerful dependence on God.
That's good.
Gives you a lot to think about.
It does.
As we kind of leave our listener here, consider how these principles of partnership and collaborative effort, which are so critical in this specific context, might also resonate with the challenges and opportunities that you're facing in your own field, in your own community, or even in your own life.
What are the barangays in your own sphere where the power of we could be the key to unlocking meaningful and lasting change?
That's good.
It's definitely something worth exploring further.
I like it.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, this is good.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.